Today, Google is releasing a major upgrade to Gemini 3 Pro. They're labeling it as 3.1, but it's a major upgrade in terms of the benchmarks that we are seeing. In this video, I want to not only break down this release, but also what I think is Google's strategy and how it's different from other frontier labs. With Gemini 3, Google also released Google Antigravity. And now they're bringing that same agent inside AI Studio. You will be able to use the anti-gravity agent inside the build feature in AI Studio, which is being marketed as a platform for web coders. Now, it seems like with Gemini, Google is trying to build a generalized model. Most of the other labs like OpenAI or Anthropic have really focused their efforts on coding for the last few iterations. The closest specialized coding model from Google is probably Gemini 3 Flash. That also was able to beat Gemini 3 Pro on some interesting benchmarks. Google has always been at the Pareto frontier of performance versus cost, but it has lagged behind in the past few months. Now, let's talk about the benchmarks. It's actually leading on almost all the major benchmarks, especially when it comes to reasoning and agentic coding. And this is kind of the direction every company is trying to go in now. The standout is humanity's last exam. Now, without tools, it's probably the best performing model. But I think the most important one is going to be ArcAGI 2. This is the benchmark that measures the reasoning capabilities of the agent or LLM. So not only it's almost double, or actually more than double of the previous iteration, it's actually doing this at a much lower cost compared to the competitors. And this is where the Pareto frontier is so important. You don't only want the model or the agent to have intelligence, but you also want it to be able to do it at a reasonable cost. Now, in terms of the cost, it's exactly the same as the previous iteration. Also, 3.1 is still a preview, so it's not a GA release yet. Now, one of the complaints that we have heard about Gemini model has been tool calling and hallucination. According to Google, they have improved on it, and hopefully that's going to make it a much better agentic model. Also, the cutoff date for training data is the same as Gemini Pro 3 or 3 Pro. Now, one more thing, it seems to be also a lot more token efficient compared to some of the other model releases that we have seen, especially with Anthropic's model releases. Sonnet 4.6 is a lot more token hungry. Now, in this case, on the artificial analysis benchmark, Gemini 3.1 preview is now the leading model. However, it doesn't come with a huge increase in number of tokens or cost. So it was able to achieve this with only 2 million extra tokens compared to the previous version, with an additional $25 or $27, which is pretty amazing. So you won't be breaking the bank if you replace the previous version with this new version. One area where Gemini model has been historically pretty strong is multimodal reasoning, and this model seems to follow the same pattern. Now, one thing is becoming very clear: the raw intelligence of the model is not enough. The harness or the wrapper around the model is becoming more and more important. Now, we saw this with Gemini 3 Deep Think, where there's a huge difference in performance between the raw Gemini model and the Deep Think version, which essentially is a scaffolding around the base model. A better example of this is Alethea, which is essentially a generator verifier revisor loop built on top of DeepThink, which surpasses even DeepThink when it comes to reasoning tasks. Now, historically, Google's model have been behind on coding. However, I don't think in real world that matters. So according to Q4 results, Gemini app had more than 750 million active monthly users. That's very close to the ChatGPT number, which is about 800 million. So even if they're not beating every other model on benchmarks, they are generating real revenue for Google, which I think is a lot more important for the business. Gemini models are powering the AI mode in search, which is a real revenue generator for Google. And they are trying to integrate it into more and more products. Now, just like its predecessor, this model has very strong multimodal reasoning capabilities, so it can visually extract information. And in fact, Google and DeepMind is recommending to use this as a drop-in replacement for the Gemini 3 Pro version. When Gemini 3 Flash was released, some people were thinking why or how a Flash model can beat a Pro model on certain benchmarks. So here was the response. Kish Anand, who is part of the Gemini team, he said, how can Flash beat Pro? RL is the answer. Flash is not just a distilled Pro. We have had a lot of exciting research progress on agentic RL, which made its way into Flash but was too late for Pro. Can't wait to finally bring them to Pro. And seems like with this new Pro model, they have used that agentic RL, which Ankish is referring to. Okay, let me show you this new AI Studio experience where they brought anti-gravity directly into AI Studio. So now your application are going to run in a sandbox environment. Okay, so here's the screen that you're going to see. If you come, it says new build experiences here with a smart build agent. Now you can also build player experiences, and you will be able to connect to different tool sets. So this is pretty great, okay? And there are some other stuff coming in the pipeline as well. Now, if you click on the model, now you see some further settings. So you can select your default model, but you can also select your tech stack now. You have React, Next.js, Angular. So let's say we just want to create something using React. Right now I'm using my API key. So let's say build me an Obsidian clone where we can onboard multiple users. Okay, I'll just send this. Okay, so now it's going to use the anti-gravity agent to build you applications. This right now is relatively slow. From what I heard from the team is that they are working to make it faster. Now, a few other things that you can do here. So if you go to settings, not only you can set the models and system instructions, but you can also set your secrets. So let's say if you're deploying a full stack application, you will be able to set your secrets here. Then there are different integrations. You can still push everything to GitHub. And once the app is up and running, you can deploy it by publishing it. So I'll probably create more detailed tutorials on how to build with it, because I think there are some exciting more features coming into AI Studio. It's not just the anti-gravity agent. So here is Logan sharing some of his vibe coding, trying to create a newer version of AI Studio with AI Studio. You actually see some interesting things. There is supposed to be user accounts with secure login and cloud data storage, then image editing, voice chat, image generation. I kind of like this because the current version is a lot busier compared to what they could potentially go for. This is the current version. Anyways, this was a very exciting week with some big releases. I am looking forward to the next one. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.